Welcome to Recap, your go-to channel for all things cinematic. I'm excited to explore the world of movies together. From Hollywood blockbusters to indie gems, we dissect plots, explore characters, and uncover hidden treasures. Hit subscribe, ring the bell, and join our Recap community for film recommendations and exclusive insights. Get ready for a cinematic adventure, Recap in English.
Following an evening of energy, Petra and James get up together promptly. In the first part of the day, Petra surges out to go to class. However, James chooses to remain in bed somewhat longer. This makes him sleep in. Furthermore, when he awakens once more, he's now late. He goes through the city as quick as possible until he comes to his way of thinking class, where the educator, Mr. Zimmett, at first thinks about not letting him, but rather ultimately he opens the entryway. Today is the last school day. Also, Mr. Zimmett maintains that the understudies should educate them regarding their #1 idea practice they've gone through. Chips referenced the boundless monkey hypothesis, which says that on the off chance that you give a monkey a typewriter and a limitless measure of time, it will ultimately compose the whole Hamlet. Jack makes reference to the streetcar issue, which says you have a switch to pick on the off chance that a train will kill 1 or 4 individuals. For no reason in particular, they change the enigma into the stout man issue, where you need to choose to push a chunky man on the tracks to stop the streetcar. Georgina likes the oblivious happiness conundrum. In this one, somebody is balancing off the most elevated tower in the city deliberately to test, assuming that their companions will help them. In any case, their companions are apprehensive on the off chance that they attempt to pull them up. They may be yanked over themselves, so they step back. The individual falls and lives, yet presently they keep thinking about whether it really is better, realizing that their companions wouldn't save them, or on the other hand, in the event that obliviousness is delight, Zimmett concludes that they will. Do one final idea exercise to complete the school year. The class should expect there is a looming nuclear end of the world and envision a dugout that will give them cover for a year. Zoom, it starts portraying the scene to make everybody utilize their minds, envisioning a region encompassed by atomic blasts. As Zimmett takes them through a fanciful visit through the shelter, he brings up the issue. There are just supplies for 10 individuals. The class has 20 understudies in it, so they need to choose which of them to allow in and who stays out. On top of that, there isn't a lot of chance to conclude before the nuclear radiation contacts them. Georgina will not partake in light of the fact that she believes it's very much like examining selective breeding. In any case, when Xena portrays how horrifying and difficult it is to bite the dust under radiation, she acknowledges to play. Petra likewise won't take an interest and even rises up to leave, realizing that she's constantly had wonderful grades and Zimmett can't hurt her by bringing down them a piece. Be that as it may, Zimmett takes steps to bring down James' grades, all things considered, which would cause him to bomb the class, and Petra must choose the option to remain. Next, Zimmett disperses cards containing the irregular calling every understudy will have in the activity. He opens the crate for James first, and after he takes a truck, Zimmett goes to the work area to hack prior to giving a card to Petra. Then, at that point, he costs against at the work area prior to giving cards to every other person. Presently, the understudies can take a gander at the callings. They landed this large number of positions, fluctuating subjects from harpist and wine barker to space explorer and scientist. Toby uncovers he's a distributed writer. However, he scarcely will get done with talking before his picture shoots him, uncovering he took the firearm from the shelter. Zimmett makes sense of that this is more others conscious than allowing him to bite the dust by radiation, since he wouldn't get into the fortification at any rate, on the grounds that a writer isn't valuable when humankind should be modified. Zimmett likewise makes sense of he's essential for the activity. However, his calling is covered up, so he ought to be viewed as a special case. Subsequently, every understudy shields their entitlement to enter the fortification, and they continue to cast a ballot. The initial 9 decisions are the individuals who they consider helpful for endurance: Petra, the primary designer; James, the rancher; Georgina, the muscular specialist; Sens, the woodworker; Jack, the physicist; Barney, the warrior; and the electrical expert; Poppy, the psychotherapist; and Nearly, C, the representative. There are additionally 9 that rapidly get removed for not being helpful: Vivian, the zoologist; Beatrice, the style creator; Parker, the gelato producer; Espresso, the realtor; Russell, the harpist; Plum, the speculative stock investments administrator; Nelson, the maid; Mitzi, the wine salesperson; and Yoshiko, the space explorer. The last spot should be picked either Zimmett and Utami. The show vocalist Petra thinks a special case is a gamble, yet Jack brings up that a drama vocalist is an extravagance, and he'd prefer risk it with Zimmett. Zimmet, who might have a helpful mystery. Zimmet wins, and now that the gatherings are finished, they require 5 minutes to bid farewell, so they move the work areas around to imagine they're having their last words. Out of nowhere, they hear a few discharges and finds it has killed each and every individual who didn't get a spot again, saying it was the compassionate thing to do. The gathering is stunned, and Petra murmurs to James that she doesn't need Zimmet in the fortification any longer. James makes an arrangement and requests that everybody assemble a few plants prior to going into the dugout, guaranteeing they're saving them for replanting when they emerge. While everybody is isolated to do the social affair, James goes to every one of them thusly and tells them of his arrangement. At the point when the opportunity arrives, the gathering enters the shelter and impairs the outer keypad prior to shutting the entryway while Zimmet is left outside. Then, at that point, they investigate the various rooms. There's a fake nursery, a daybed, an exercise center, books, and different things to stay away from sorrow, evidently. At night, while everybody dozes on the bunks, James meets Petra on the large bed and tells her he can traverse anything with her. When James nods off, Petra goes to mind Zimmet and finds him gradually consuming under the radiation. Unexpectedly, Zimmet holds up a piece of paper that says just he has the leave code. Petra promptly calls the gathering, and they start quarreling about what to do, uncertain of trusting Zimmet or not. Eventually, they choose to disregard him, and they start to survive the year in the dugout. It's unimaginably exhausting, and they scarcely can keep themselves occupied with everyday assignments. Consistently, Petra mines Zimmet's body, which is gradually spoiling, and infrequently a canine comes to chomp on it. When the year passes, the gathering prepares to come out just to find Zimmet had been correct. The lock requested a leave code. The understudies continue to utilize various strategies to attempt to break the way without any result. They attempt to endure a couple of additional days with a couple of provisions they have left, yet soon they run out, so they choose to end things for themselves. Or on the other hand, a more sympathetic consummation in class. Zimmet reports they bombed the trial and uncovers his calling as a dugout manufacturer. Truth be told, he was the one that assembled that specific shelter, and consequently the one in particular who has the code. The understudies need to attempt once more, and this time they envisioned another area, picking Mont Bromo. By and by, Zimmet hurries to snatch a firearm, which Petra sees. Then it's uncovered that the cards conceal a second trademark that might impact the votes. James' trademark is being gay, yet he actually gets acknowledged for his cultivating information, despite the fact that with less votes, Georgina, the specialist, was presented to the Ebola infection. So this time, she's forgotten about. Plum, the multifaceted investment supervisor, generally goes with a sack of gold, so she has acknowledged Ships the woodworker is barren, but on the other hand, he's acknowledged again in view of his abilities. Petra, the underlying specialist, is likewise an electrical designer, so she has saved Andy, the electrical expert, uncovers he has an exceptionally uncommon infection that might kill him all of a sudden. So he's dismissed. Poppy, the psychotherapist, can't have kids, so she's forgotten about. Vivian, the zoologist, uncovers she upholds PETA, so she is left out once more. Jack, the scientist, walked away with the hereditary sweepstakes. Importance, he'll live lengthy and solid, so he's acknowledged once more. Espresso, the realtor, is likewise a birthing specialist. Also, since they've lost Georgina as their PCP, he will remain this time. Parker, the gelato creator, has no additional trademark, and that implies another person needs to, and he's left out. Who let me know the drama vocalist needs to. She can communicate in 7 dialects, yet she will foster a throat growth in 3 years that won't let her discussion any longer, so she's left out. Mitzi, the wine barker, has an intelligence level of 200, yet she's left out once more. Beatrice, the style fashioner, made a well-known brand of ladies' clothing out of bamboo, but at the same time, she's left out once more. Furthermore, the equivalent happens to Russell, the harpist, who is creative. Nearly C, the representative, will be the principal female boss equity of the High Court. In this way, she is saved once more. Bonnie, the trooper, has eidetic memory and gets saved again. Nelson, the servant, is a particularly kind individual, which at first doesn't help him, yet he winds up remaining when Petra says that they need more young men, and Nearly Eat contends that they need all the more hard and solid species. Lists from the working. At the point when Toby, the artist, is going to make reference to his trademark, his picture shoots him again, saying this spot is for him, in light of the fact that the gathering actually doesn't have the foggiest idea about the code. Then, at that point, Zimmet gives Georgina the keys to a truck, and individuals that were left outside promptly attempted to take off to save themselves. Sadly, the vehicle is hit by the blast. The anointed ones additionally start rushing to arrive at the fortification without a moment to spare, and the exhausting regular day-to-day existence starts by and by. Later at night, Petra awakens and sees James isn't on his bed, so she goes searching for him just to find him getting playful with Jack, who ends up being gay in actuality. Petra is harmed and surges out to tell the remainder of the gathering what she saw. Presently, they choose now is the ideal time to talk about how they will get together to reproduce. Since Chips is enriched, he doesn't have to help, while Jack and James would not partake on the grounds that they couldn't phony it with a person for children. Bonnie and Kabi are coordinated, as are nearly Eat and Nelson. As retribution for her sweetheart, Petra acknowledges to do it with Zimet, overlooking James when he says she actually adores her. While the blasts outside assaulted the planet, the three couples get spirited simultaneously, following 10 weeks of no pregnancies. Zimet brings up that they should change couples, saying the young lady ought to have different accomplices. Barney declines, saying they're taking rationale excessively far to address things, and that shouldn't supersede her assent. Zimet leaves just to get back with a weapon close by, undermining everybody except Barney to leave the room. The gathering runs out, however, Jack figures out how to take cover behind a corner, and once Zimet is occupied, Jack handles him and makes him drop the weapon. Bonnie rapidly gets it and holds him at gunpoint. However, the folks keep on battling until Zimet overwhelms Jack. In any case, Jack fights back by cutting Zimet in the ear with a pen. Crushed Zimet goes to the front entryway and places in the code to open it, carrying everybody down with him. The class has bombed the activity once more. James is more dubious now and questions Limit's thought processes in the activity, referencing the weird espresso had when he appointed him and Petro the jobs, and bringing up that Zimet has not hacked since. Abruptly, James goes to the work area and gets the crate running out of Zimet's span to open it and find the mystery. It just so happens the case is covered up compartments, and James and Petra's cards have been messed with significance. They would continuously obtain similar outcomes. Gay rancher and twofold architect, James needs to know why Zimet abhors him specifically. So Zimet raises the purposeful anecdote of Plato's cavern. In this moral story, a man carries on with for what seems like forever binded to a wall, and just at any point sees shadows and hears reverberations, if that is the way reality genuinely looks and sounds. One day the man is unchained and observes that the shadows are brought about by bodies and the reverberations are brought about by voices, finding that the entire thought of what was genuine was only a deception. Zoom. It says that this moral story is something like James asserting that the activity is intended to stand up to James about how his honor has badly prearranged him for this present reality, yet James doesn't trust him. Zoom. It might have made him something pointless like a flower specialist, so he could be removed starting from the start. However, a gay rancher implies Senate maintained that him should delay his experiencing intentionally. At that point, Petra intrudes on the contention and demand that the activity ought to be done a third time, this time with James as a flower vendor. Presently, their minds take them to an island, and the end of the world hasn't occurred at this point. Zimet goes to the shelter to snatch a weapon to no one's surprise, and he hears a commotion, however barely cares about it. At the point when he returns outside, Petra goes along with him and offers him an embrace, saying that she knows it's been difficult for him. A while later, Petra requests that everybody trust her to pick who will enter the fortification since she has an arrangement. At the point when everybody concurs, Petra pursues her decisions and makes sense of her thinking. Mitzi is saved in light of the fact that a virtuoso wine salesperson would be savvy to the point of welcoming both red and white wine out traveling, guaranteeing everybody lives it up. Beatrice is saved in light of the fact that dressing great lifts confidence, which advances efficiency and could save civilization. He'll be second expertise ends up being champion poker player. So he's saved in light of the fact that he carried cards with him, and he'll give amusement. Russell is likewise saved in light of the fact that many individuals look at mental imbalance as a gift. Georgina was simply presented to Ebola, yet they don't have verification she has it, so Petra gets her while promising to petition God for her. We let me know the show artist might be quieted 3 years, yet presently everybody could nod off to her singing, so she likewise gets saved. Jack is taken in as a result of his ideal pants. However, he is disturbed in light of the fact that there'll be without an accomplice due to his direction. At that point, Parker lets out the unadulterated truth, so he's saved also. With just 2 spots left, Petra picks James. As the anointed ones enter the shelter in the study hall, everybody sits all together. Zimet has been whining from the start, and with every decision, he brings Petro's grade down, with the end result of falling flat. However, seeing the pointless individuals enter the dugout causes him to lose it, and he goes after his firearm. In any case, he doesn't track down it. It turns out Petra took it when she embraced him before. She gives it back to him just to uncover it's not stacked. Petra hands him at 2 shots, saying she doesn't maintain that he should experience like last time. However, at that point, James compromised Zimet with a rifle. It turns out he had been the commotion in the dugout, frantic to get by. Zimet says that no one realizes the leave code with the exception of him. In any case, Bonnie utilized her ideal memory to remember it during the last run. Feeling crushed, Zimet leaves. Next, Petra needs to give the last opening to Bonnie. However, since she rejects, Chips takes the spot. James is presently not gay in that frame of mind of the activity and asks Petra to accompany them. In any case, she rejects, saying she'll take the boat and attempt to escape the radiation zone just for Chips to uncover he has the boat keys. Moving quickly, Chips pushes Petra inside, exchanging places with her before the entryway closes, while the remainder of the gathering races to the boat to get off the island. Petra keeps on portraying the idea practice, making sense of that notwithstanding awful conditions some way or another, they had a good time during the year in the shelter since they had cards, wine, Shakespeare exhibitions, and unique sonnets. James lets Petra know the amount he adores her, yet she wonders whether or not to answer with a similar expression. At the point when machines break in the fortification, they utilize the parts of Make a Harp and Russell plays it, while Tommy sings to make their nights mysterious. When the year passes, the gathering leaves the shelter just to find that the bombs won't ever fall. Zimmett portrays that they will bite the dust, as not a single one of them have the specialized abilities to get by on an island. Yet Petra answers that their lives will be short, yet basically they'll be well and blissful. They will likewise be prepared to invite passing when it shows up. Out of nowhere, a rocket falls near the ocean, and James prepares to explode it. However, at that point, this picture appears and shoots to stop him. It turns out he had tracked down a cavern and dove sufficiently deep to stay away from the radiation. For as far back as year, he has been getting by with what he could track down there. Zimmett can't allow them to commit a go-about as preposterous as finishing mankind and take steps to shoot James with his last projectile. However, the other survivors move individually to remain before him as a safeguard. They utilize the opportunity to press the explosion button, and the bomb explodes the whole island. Back in class, Zimmett is embarrassed about the most recent activity, however Sens rapidly cuts in to offer his own adaptation also. He says that the boat figured out how to go far to the point of keeping away from the blast, and he turned into the main person with 6 ladies all to himself. The gathering considers what befell the 3 different guys and delivered says Espresso suffocated Nelson had a barracuda assault and Andy had a spat with a palm tree. Being barren doesn't mean the opportunity of multiplication is 0. So in this finishing, Ships taps an alternate young lady every day. Zimmett at last completes the class and every one of the understudies leave, with the exception of Petra, who blames Zimmett for attempting to utilize the activity to rebuff James. It turns out Zimmett has been having an illicit relationship with Petra, and he accepts James has been ether. Petra makes sense of that insight isn't the only thing that is important, and that she adores James, so he ought not be rebuffed for something he has barely any familiarity with. In any case, Petra gives him it unfortunately kiss and leaves. A short time later, Emmett is separated from everyone else in the school and starts going through numerous varieties of what occurs, assuming he goes to his office. In some cases, he just eats, yet different times he finds his firearm, and a fired can be heard in the structure.
Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.